One angry interview has turned Forrester into the biggest story in Los Angeles, and before this night is over, one reckless punch will leave him lying on the floor. The episode begins with the Forrester family still dealing with the damage from Eric's televised outburst. The fashion presentation should have been about creativity, success, and Electra's jewelry. Instead, the conversation has been swallowed by Eric's temper. Eric is still furious about the interview. From his perspective, the interviewer ignored what mattered and focused far too heavily on his time at Logan. That frustration clearly touched a nerve. Eric did not simply answer the questions, he exploded. Now the people around him are left wondering how much that moment will cost. At Forrester Creations, concern hangs over the room. Eric is the family patriarch. He is also one of the most recognizable names connected to the company. When he loses control in public, it does not stay personal. It immediately becomes a business problem. Across enemy lines, Bill Spencer sees an opportunity. Bill is delighted by how badly Eric handled himself on camera. To Bill, Eric looked completely unprepared. He acted like a man who had never faced a difficult interview before, and Bill already understands how easily that footage can be turned against him. That is what makes Bill dangerous in this situation. He does not need to change what happened. Eric has already given him the material. Bill only needs to control the way people interpret it. Katie is not celebrating. She admits that she wishes things had never reached this point. The friendship she once shared with Eric has been damaged, and there is real sadness beneath her words. Katie understands why Bill and Will are angry, but she also remembers Eric as more than the man who insulted her on television. Will does not share that hesitation. As far as he is concerned, Eric crossed a line. Nobody speaks about his mother that way and walks away without consequences. Will's anger is protective, but it is also dangerously personal. He is no longer looking at Eric as a respected elder or the head of a rival family. He sees him as the man who humiliated Katie. That emotional difference matters. Bill is thinking about headlines and leverage. Katie is thinking about a broken friendship. Will is thinking about defending his mother. All three are reacting to the same interview, but Will is the one most likely to act before thinking. At Bikini, Deacon and Taylor are also discussing the televised disaster when Dylan approaches them. She wants to know how Electra's line was received during the Forrester livestream. That should be the easy question. Electra's jewelry was supposed to be one of the major talking points. The fashion presentation itself should have been the focus, but Deacon explains that none of those details are getting the attention they deserve. The biggest takeaway was Eric's temper. That response shows how completely the outburst has overshadowed everyone else's work. Electra's achievement is suddenly being treated like background noise. The clothes, the jewelry, and the business success are all fighting for attention against a viral moment involving Eric. Back at Forrester Creations, Steffi and Zend react differently. They are almost pleased to see Eric showing so much fire. To them, his anger proves that he still has fight left in him. There is something understandable about that reaction. Eric's family does not want to view him as weak, defeated, or irrelevant. Seeing him push back can feel reassuring. It reminds them that he is still passionate and still willing to defend himself. But passion without control can become a liability. The same fire that comforts Steffi and Zend is giving Bill Spencer exactly what he needs. Then the mood shifts with a much more positive development. Steffi receives a call from Lauren. Lauren confirms that her boutiques will take the entire line. She also plans a special promotion built around Electra's jewelry. This is a major professional victory. Despite the interview disaster, the work itself has succeeded. Electra's jewelry has made a strong enough impression to earn wider promotion, and the complete collection has found enthusiastic support. For a moment, the family has a reason to celebrate. Plans are made for drinks at Bikini, although Zen says he has something else scheduled. Naturally, everyone becomes curious about whether a mystery woman is involved. Zen refuses to explain. That lighter moment gives the episode a brief breath of relief. Unfortunately, it does not last. While the Forresters try to focus on their success, the Spencer side is already shaping the public narrative. Ridge, Steffi, and Zend discover that a Spencer-controlled blog is describing Eric's interview as a meltdown. The wording is not accidental. Calling it a meltdown makes Eric sound unstable, unpredictable, and out of touch. It changes the story from an emotional disagreement into a question about his judgment. Bill understands that repeated headlines can become public perception. Eric may believe he was defending himself, but the Spencer media machine is preparing to frame him as a man who can no longer control his emotions. And the person most ready to prove that story wrong may be the same person whose actions make it even worse. By the time the action moves toward Bikini, several conflicts are already heading for the same room. Will arrives with Deke while Katie and Bill decide to spend an early evening at home. Bill may not be physically present at the bar, but his influence is everywhere. The Spencer blog is spreading its version of Eric's interview, and Will is carrying the anger caused by Eric's attack on Katie. Deacon has anger of his own. He tells Deke that Eric dismissed his talent, and Deacon is clearly not pleased about it. That frustration adds another layer to the atmosphere. Eric's public comments did not upset only the Spencers, they also left Deacon feeling personally disrespected. At the bar, Will sits with Dylan and reduces the entire interview to one painful point: Eric insulted his mother. That is all Will can see. He is not thinking about Eric's frustration with the interviewer. He is not thinking about the pressure surrounding the fashion presentation. He is focused on Katie and the humiliation he believes she suffered. Then Will tells Dylan to keep the drinks coming. That decision should immediately raise concern. Will is already emotionally charged. Alcohol will not settle the conflict. It can only weaken his judgment at exactly the wrong time. And then Eric walks into Bikini with RJ and Electra. The timing could not be worse. Will sees Electra and his attention locks onto her. Deke encourages him to go speak with her, but this is not a calm setting for an honest conversation. Will has been drinking. He is furious with Eric. RJ is nearby. Old romantic tension is already sitting under the surface. Still, Will approaches Electra and asks her to leave with him so they can talk privately. On its own, that request might have created an emotional conversation. In this moment, it feels more like a challenge. Eric allows RJ to step in and stop the exchange. That decision changes the energy immediately. Instead of Electra answering Will for herself, RJ becomes the barrier between them. Will does not respond well. RJ's interference touches the exact pressure point that has been building all evening. Will already feels that the Forresters have disrespected his family. Now he sees another Forrester standing between him and Electra. RJ, meanwhile, is protecting the situation from becoming more chaotic. Will is angry and drinking. RJ has every reason to believe that allowing him to leave with Electra would be a terrible idea. Neither young man is willing to step back. Electra moves away to check on Eric, leaving Will and RJ facing each other with even less emotional restraint between them. Deacon recognizes the danger and tells Deke to make sure the confrontation does not get out of control. Unfortunately, Deke cannot stop what is already building. Will insists that he is leaving with Electra. RJ tells him that he is not. The argument becomes physical, pushing replaces talking. The tension that began with Eric's interview continued through Will's anger and grew through the drinking finally erupts. Eric tries to intervene. That choice is completely in character with his role in the family. He may be angry, embarrassed, and under attack in the media, but he is still the patriarch. He sees two young men losing control, and he steps forward to stop them. Then Will throws a punch. He aims for RJ. He misses. And Eric ends up on the floor. The moment is shocking because the consequences arrive instantly. Will wanted to defend Katie, he wanted to confront Electra, he wanted to push past RJ instead. His reckless anger sends RJ's grandfather crashing down. There is no victory in that scene. RJ was trying to keep Will away from Electra. Will believed he was fighting for the right to speak with her. Eric was attempting to stop the violence, yet Eric becomes the one who pays the immediate price. The accident also creates a brutal connection to the story Bill is already spreading. The Spencer media empire is portraying Eric as unstable and surrounded by chaos. Eric's family believes Bill is twisting the interview to damage him, but now, only hours later, Eric has become the victim of a public fight involving Bill's son. That does not mean Bill planned the confrontation. The episode gives no reason to believe he did, but emotionally, the collision between the two families could not be more explosive. Will's actions may also deepen the damage with Electra. He came to her wanting a private conversation, but he allowed anger and alcohol to take control. Instead of creating a path toward understanding, he turned the evening into another crisis. For RJ, the conflict is just as personal. He stepped between Will and Electra, stood his ground, and then watched his grandfather fall while trying to break up the fight. And for Eric, the night becomes another humiliation he never expected. He was already dealing with public criticism after the interview. His family was already defending his reputation. Bill's media operation was already calling him mercurial and out of touch. Now Eric is on the floor because a fight over Electra spun out of control. The episode begins with everyone discussing Eric's loss of control. It ends with everyone else losing control around him. That irony makes the final scene hit even harder. Eric's anger created the opening conflict, but Will's anger delivers the physical consequence. Bill may be controlling the headlines, but Will has now created a new story that could make the Spencer-Forrester feud even more painful. So where does this leave everyone? Will wanted to protect his mother, but did he just become the person who crossed the most dangerous line? Can Electra look at him the same way after his confrontation with RJ sent Eric to the floor? And after everything Eric has already endured publicly, will this accident push the family rivalry beyond repair? Share your reaction in the comments and subscribe for daily The Bold and the beautiful spoilers, recaps and storyline updates.